I'm excited. I'm on fire. I have to pinch myself. I hunted Dr. Cialdini for 5 years to get him to be able to speak at the IMC. 5 years it took me to finally find somebody who could get in and get us on his schedule when he came to the IMC. How many of you were at Dr. Cialdini's presentation at IMC? How many of you were there? Well, then it's epic. I was just out in Arizona with him at the Genius Network with Joe Polish, and he presented something that just, I talk about blew the audience away. Here's what I'll tell you. He's going to share something with you tonight that I guarantee every single one of you will be changing your website in the morning. And if you don't, you're a fool. But every single one of you will be changing your website. We're working on changing mine right now after the presentation that he gave. I mean, you talk about something that's so simple that costs you absolutely nothing to do and increases client behavior, drives behavior like nobody's business. And what's beautiful and what I love most is that everything that Dr. Cialdini teaches tonight and always is scientifically proven. It is backed by research. And so you can know that whenever you're speaking or coaching and you're sharing Dr. Cialdini's work, you can go to a case study and show the real facts. Ju, how you doing? Mike Leitner, good to see you, my friend. Ellen Seidel, how are you doing? Karen Falusa, how you doing? Dean, welcome. Hey, Laurel, how you doing? Good to see you. Robert, how you doing? Bridget, welcome. Saban, welcome. Great to see all of you guys. Hey, Michael Schultz, good to see you. Thomas, how you doing, bud? Good to see you. Bert has been working hard on the Cialdini sales program. Him and his wife are doing an amazing job in taking the sales program and corporatizing it, making it corporate friendly. Dr. Rick Raperto is in the house. How you doing, Rick? Good to see you. You excited?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
You're excited for tonight?
Right on.
Yeah, Daniel from Romania. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you. I'm going to be seeing you in Brussels. See you in Brussels pretty soon. Hey, is that Jan de Gallier? Now it's complete. We got Jan. That's awesome. How you doing, Jan? Good to see you. Carrie, how are you? Welcome. Maribel. Hello, welcome.
Hey.
How you doing?
All is well.
We were just with Maribel at the last. Tiza, good to see you. Good to see you. Yesenia, welcome. Julian, welcome. Debbie, how are you doing, Debbie?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Paul. How are you?
Right. Wonderful. Great to see you. Thanks for being here. Susan Ricarius here in the house. Thomas Dixon. Wow, everybody's joining. Hey, Robert, how you doing? Bill, good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Christine Zielinski. CZ's now. Trish Bazzoni, how you doing? Good to see you, Trish. Trish, how's the beer garden going? Is it coming along?
Coming along.
I want pics. Dorothea in Germany. Dorothea is going to be translating all of these resources for us in German. We are excited for that as our partner in Germany. Keith Siddell, how are you doing? The one, the only, Regina. How you doing? Nola, how you doing? Welcome, everybody. Ariel, good to see you. Eric Miller. Welcome, everybody. Nola, great, good to see you. We'll get started. I'd love for you guys, if you guys, so Dr. Cialdini could see your smiling faces. If you turn your cameras on, that would be epic. We'll get started here right at 2 minutes. Again, as many of you guys know, not only is this guy Italian, okay? Let's just, come on. Not only is this guy Italian, right? But this guy is like, if you're a speaker, then watching an artist on stage, right? Watching a master communicator is such a gift. And what was beautiful for me, we were just in Arizona, and Dr. Cialdini is probably given the talk that he was going to give. Who knows? Certainly, it was fresh for that audience, but compiled from things that he had spoken about before. On the lunch break, hour and 15 minute lunch break, Dr. Cialdini went through every single slide, from every position in the front of that room. That is a pro. That is a pro. And not only is it a pro, it doesn't just speak to his respect for his profession. It speaks to his respect for the audience. His respect for the audience. That that even though, I mean, he's kissing friends with Joe Polish, and he's in front of a warm audience, he would never take it for granted. And that's the sign of a true pro. And so not only is Italian, he's a great speaker and a great role model for all of us. And I'm so excited to be able to share him with you. More people are coming on. We're about 140 people on the call right now. Hundreds and hundreds of people registered. We'll get started. Why don't we go? We're going to go 1 minute late, just because I'm just seeing people still piling into the room, and sometimes there's a delay in adding people to the room. So I want to give everybody a fair shot. But grab the magic wand, everybody. Grab the magic wand and make sure you've got yourself a clean piece of paper. Get some Advil for the cramps in your hand when you're done, because Dr. Cialdini is going to be doing just a phenomenal teaching for you guys. It's my second time to do it. The first time I took it, I took 4 pages of notes. I have no doubt that I will catch things that I didn't catch before. Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? I see that more people are still coming in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So first off, good evening, welcome, Empowered Living Community. On behalf of our whole team, we are excited that you are here. We did not invite everybody to this call. This was truly invitation only. I did not send this out to everybody in my email list. We did not promote this on social media. If you're here, it's because I've got something I would like to share with you. I've got something that I think is really important and powerful. And you're here because you're either part of our mastermind groups or a private client, you're part of our teaching team, you're part of our team ambassadors, you're part of our family. And when somebody has something really good in their family, they want to share it with the people that they love and care about. And that's why you're here. And I wanted to invite all of you. So thank you for making time out. I know that you've got other competing commitments. All of you have got things that you could be doing. Before I introduce Dr. Robert Cialdini, let me introduce a guy that has come into my life in the last 6 months and is like a brother to me. We met through Dr. Cialdini. His name is Boss Walters. Boss, give a big wave there. And we'll unmute Boss here. Boss is the CEO and president of the Cialdini Institute. Dr. Cialdini has licensed, I think, 12 or 13 people in the world to actually teach his content. And Boss is the leader of that group and probably the very best speaker and communicator and trainer and understander of the principles and the science, all the research studies behind Dr. Cialdini. And he comes with practical application. He has literally written the book Online Influence, taking all of the principles taught by Dr. Cialdini and integrating them into marketing agencies. He is a marketing master and genius. And he's a fantastic friend. He absolutely loves entrepreneurs. This guy's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur, right? He's unemployable, which is what we want, right? In an entrepreneur. Boss, first off, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your team and be part of the Cialdini Institute, and welcome. And I've been talking about these people. I've been talking about the Empowered Living community and how it is just a very unique group of people. So we're happy to introduce you to them and them to you.
Fantastic, Paul. Love to be here and love to see the energy already in the chat and on the screen. I see sparkling eyes, fantastic comments in the chat. So I'm getting excited as well.
So let me ask you, Boss, when did you wake up to Dr. Cialdini? For me, I was a struggling janitor trying to build a business and market. And my brother, who has a PhD in engineering and is a adjunct professor in financing, said, you've got to read Dr. Cialdini. He's a kind of behavioral economics professor. He said, you've got to read this guy, Dr. Cialdini. You got to get the book Influence, and whatever it says to do, Paul, do in your cleaning company. And I did. How did you stumble across the godfather of influence?
Well, I had a company. We were selling kitchens. By coincidence, I stumbled in that business because I bought a house and I needed a kitchen, and I realized I come from the Netherlands, as Paul said. So I realized in the Netherlands, the market didn't treat you right. And in Germany, the kitchens were cheaper. So I started that company. But I knew I was small and you have these established companies. So I needed to have a way to outperform them in marketing, in sales, in communication, customer service. So I need to figure out an answer to make this company successful. And the answer was behavioral science. And if you're thinking about that answer, you go to the godfather of influence, right?
Yeah, that's so good. So then so then you applied this in your business. I know you built a multi-million-dollar kitchen company. You then went on to write the book Online Influence. And as a matter of fact, in the certification program that we're making available just to you guys as founding members tonight at a great discount, all of the marketing resources you've created with your team integrating Dr. Cialdini's principles. How long did it take you to write this book and distill 40 years of genius into strategies?
We took about 3 years. So I sold the company when I was 32. It was 2016, no, 15. And in 2016, I had the honor to join Dr. Cialdini's certification program, where I was personally taught by Dr. Cialdini. Then I passed that program. I could call myself one of his 12 Cialdini's method certified trainers. And I always had the wish, I want to share my knowledge that I got in this journey of building that company to the world, this online journey. So it took me about 3 years because I really wanted to be, the science had to be correct, but it had to be really practical. People should be able to read that book, and every page, it would be a page turner and think, I can do this tomorrow, I can do this, because that's what this material is about. It's super powerful, but it won't cost you multi-million dollars to apply it.
So, for all of you, again, Dr. Cialdini is going to share with you a strategy tonight that I guarantee every single one of you tomorrow will be changing your logo or your website. And if you don't, you're a fool. Okay. And it's going to cost you nothing to do. It's going to cost you nothing to do. And that's the brilliance. That's the brilliance of this. Before I go to Dr. Cialdini, one last question, because I think perspective matters. Yeah. What did you pay to get certified?
I think in total, with all travel expenses, let's say it cost me around $100,000.
And without travel expenses?
Let's say half.
50 grand.
Yeah.
Because you had to fly back and forth to Arizona. You had to actually present to Dr. Cialdini and
yeah.
Greg and Dr. Greg Neidhart.
I think, yeah, something like this. Yeah. Maybe a little higher even. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, my friend. We're going to come back to you. Dr. Cialdini, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here tonight.
I'm glad to be here and looking forward to the chance to interact with your community.
Everybody here on this call is a dreamer. And everybody here is at some level a person of faith. And we believe in divine appointment, right? We don't think there's no such thing as accidents. I think everybody on this call will share that we're here and we're guided to be here. And there's times in our life, these are turning points, right? Where your life is going in one direction and you're going in that direction full steam. And then God, the universe, puts someone in your way and everything changes for you. And you had that moment. I don't know if many of you guys know, but Dr. Cialdini was on his way to becoming a professional baseball player. Okay. And so will you share the story of kind of like this life interruption for you?
Well, I was a good baseball player in high school, good enough to get a minor league contract offer. And the scout who had offered the contract to me came to my last game. We had talked before about it. And I was a center fielder and I wanted to be Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays. I wanted to be one of the great center fielders. And he came with the contract and his pen wouldn't work. So we had to go to his car to get another pen. And along the way, he said, "Let me ask you something, kid. Are you any good at school?" I said, "Yes, I am." Good enough to get into college? Also, yes. Good enough to complete a college education and graduate? Yes. Do you like it? I said, I love it. I love it. The scholarship, the research involved, I love it. And he took the new pen away from me and he said, go to school, kid. You're not good enough, likely, to make the major leagues, right? But you've told me that you love something that you're very good at. Go there. It was such a kind thing because I don't know if you know how minor league baseball works, but for a while you're in these lower minor league teams and then you move up. You probably never make it to the major leagues. Most people don't. But then you stop someplace, right? And maybe you start to come down. But it takes a few years. So let's say I did this, and by the time I'm 22, I learned that I'm not going to make the major leagues. So I'm in Akron, Ohio, the last minor league team that I was in. And maybe I'm married. Maybe I have a child or two. I don't get to go to college now. I have to support my family. So I become the assistant manager of the Pizza Hut or the sporting goods store in Akron, Ohio. And we're not talking today. I'm not here because of a fork in the road that I took away from something people tell you, always go for your dream, go for your dream. I like that idea, but go for the dream that you're best at. That's the way you're going to realize that dream, most likely. And that's why we're here. He asked me a set of questions that interrogated the situation properly. Do I like this? Am I good at it? Do I love it? What do I love about it? And so I went to school, and the rest is history.
History it is. It's millions of copies of books and thousands of research, hours and documents. So when you first went into school, again, you weren't going in to be this famous behavioral scientist. Not at all. You were going into a completely different field. And again,
fork in the road. Yeah, fork in the road. What
Yeah.
happened was I was working with a faculty member who was an animal behavior researcher, and I was going to go to school to study animal behavior. I already had been accepted to the University of Michigan. I was going to go as a graduate student, but I had never taken a course in social psychology, right? But I had a girlfriend at the time who was taking a social psychology course, and there was an empty seat next to her. And I filled that seat. We're at the point in our relationship where we didn't want to ever be apart. So I was there in this room, and I started hearing about human social behavior and the science of it. And by the end of the semester, I was more enamored of social psychology than my girlfriend, as these things go in college, right? So I took a direction. I quickly did a U-turn and went to graduate school in social psychology. And because of a chance, there was an empty seat. What if there hadn't been an empty seat? What if that scout's pen had worked the first time? All of these things, I'm amazed by the extent to which serendipity creates these opportunities for us that we have to take advantage of. If we're there and we see the power of that moment and the new direction where we can go, we should take it.
Wow. I've had an opportunity to work with Zig Ziglar, Wayne Dyer, Les Brown, Bob Proctor, Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Brian Tracy, John Maxwell. Not one of them told me that their plan was to be who they were, right? Not one of them. And the same for you. I promise, guys, in 2 more minutes, just give us 2 or 3 more minutes to visit, because you know what I teach. Who you learn from matters. So I want you to get to know Dr. Cialdini first before he teaches. You didn't start out to be, the famous Dr. Robert Cialdini, seller of millions of books. I mean, we're like, do you still have to kind of pinch yourself? I mean, how did this happen? When did it like click that you became the godfather?
I still shake my head. I still shake my head to try to get an understanding of how it happened. But I do know when it happened. I wrote the book Influence, not by staying located in my laboratory, but by going into the training programs of as many influence professions as I could get access to incognito, in disguised identity, disguised intent. I would take training from the people whose business it is to get us to say yes, right? Salespeople, marketers, advertisers, public relations people, recruiters, procurement officers, charity solicitors, right? And I looked for the commonalities in each of those domains. What were they saying worked? Here's something interesting. Every one of them was talking about how their approach to influence was different from the other domains of practitioners. So salespeople were saying, marketers were saying, well, we're not sales, we're marketing. And advertisers were saying, well, we're not marketers, we're advertisers. And public relations people were saying, well, we're not advertisers, we're public relations. And charity solicitors were saying, well, we're not, right? They had a point. They had all different, slightly different approaches, little different features of how they influenced something. But by focusing on their differences, they missed something crucial. What was the same? What was the same that worked in every one of those domains, in every one of those arenas? That's what I was looking for. And after a period of time of infiltrating and studying and recording, and I had notes and I had tape recordings and all kinds of things, I boiled it out down, and there was a very small footprint of things that they all used. So I put them in the book Influence, 1 to a chapter. And that's what started it. And then that book just took off. That book took off.
It's timeless. It's timeless. Well, I don't want to take any time away from your teaching. Again, I'm thankful to God that he put you in my life, and that we're able to bring you to all of these wonderful people. Serendipity, yes, but I think our steps are ordained by God, and I'm grateful that we're all able to be here together. And so I'm going to have you go ahead and share your screen, guys. This teaching, grab a pad of paper and a pen, and I'll see you in about 20 minutes with your jaw on the floor, because it is epic. It's great stuff. You're going to absolutely love it.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about creating change, as you can tell from the title of my talk, and a specific route to creating that change. But let's just talk about the concept of change for a minute. There are a lot of ways that you can arrange for people to move in your direction, to change in your direction. You can incentivize them. If you have the funds, you can give them bonuses or rebates or special financial arrangements and so on. If you're in charge of them, you can order them to change in your direction. You can penalize them if they don't. You can even trick them into assent, right, by being less than honest. But all of those strategies have costs, either in terms of financial capital or social capital, right, that you have to expend. I'm going to suggest something that's almost costless as the way to produce change. It's persuasion, where all you do is change the words you employ to make your case. Having a good case to make, which I bet every one of you do, having a good case to make isn't the same as making a good case well. And that's what the persuasion process allows you to do, to optimize the presentation, the delivery of your case. And I claim there are 7 universal principles of influence. Here they are. And as I was saying to Paul, I put each of these in the book Influence, 1 to a chapter. And I have to say, that book has been good to me. That book has sold more copies than I could have sensibly imagined when I first wrote it, in all kinds of languages. In fact, I have a friend, a professor in Poland, Professor Wilhelmina Wozinska, who said to me one time, you know, Robert, your book Influence is so famous in Poland, my students think you're dead. And I have to say, that got my attention, that comment. On the one hand, it was affirming. It said, all right, it's that famous. On the other hand, it was sobering. It told me, well, you're going to have to make some new contributions because people think you're dead. So you better start thinking about new ways to present these principles, to research the nuances and the most effective applications of them, to do that in a way that's entirely ethical and is focused on implementation, not just understanding these principles, but being able to apply them to everyday situations where people can increase the outcomes of all concerned in the process of moving people in their direction. Right? So I have decided that besides all that new research and all this new focus, there was something else that I want to include in this new approach. We have this online learning, we have a various set of components of that, a learning online, on-demand learning program. We have a coaching program, speaking program, and so on associated with it. But there was something else that I learned that I want to make this the heart of this new approach. And it wasn't something in the 7 principles of influence. It didn't come from understanding those principles. It came from presenting them to audiences. If I ever presented these principles to an audience, it could be a small one like this one that's depicted on your screen, or a much larger one like this one. And I said to the audience, when I'm talking about a particular principle, let's say the principle of authority, right? If I ever said to the audience, now, I'm going to give you the smallest thing you can do to unleash the power of this principle. I'm going to give you the most costless, least effortful, time-consuming thing you could do to get the power of this principle infusing your messages. Right? The room falls silent. Pens poise above pads, fingers above keys, and I get the audience attention almost as completely as if I had mentioned sex. Why? ROI is why. Return on investment is why. Everybody wants a big return on a small investment. And this idea of giving people small switches to flip, triggers to pull, that unleash the power of these big force fields within all of us is what we're calling the small bigs. So what's a small big? It involves the smallest changes that you can make to your persuasive approach that will produce the largest increases in your persuasive success. So let's talk about some as they apply to these principles. Now, we don't have time to talk about all of them, but let's talk about a small big in the first of these principles, which is the liking principle, and then the last one, unity, which is a new one, by the way. So I'll talk more about it when we get to that. But let's begin with the concept of liking. Nobody would be surprised that people prefer to say yes to those they like, right? So in every sales training program I have ever been associated with, we were told the number one rule of sales is get your customer to like you. And if you do that, they will want to do business with you, right? And I believe that that's true, but I don't think it's the number one rule of sales. Here's the number one rule of sales. Show your customer that you like them. That's a more that makes contact with a more primal motive in everyone. Everybody wants to be liked, and in a commercial exchange, they want to know that the person they're dealing with likes them because they recognize that they're safe there. Their flanks are protected there. In the hands of somebody who cares about us, we know that we won't be exploited. No, this person likes me. I want to assure that the person I'm dealing with likes me more than I want to assure that I like that person. It's a more primal, it's a more primitive, it's a more elemental motivation to be liked. There's an old saying that fits with this very well. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That's the platform we have to start with. Making sure that people recognize that we care for them. And they get to exhale a breath with us. Right? Okay. So what's a small big for liking then? What's a small thing we could do to show people that we like them? Right? It's a smile. It turns out that I heard this researcher once describe a study that he had done in service industry, service kind of businesses, mental, so like doctors' clinics, medical clinics, dental clinics, chiropractic, Pilates, gyms, anything where you walk into a room, there's somebody behind a desk, right? And he asked the question, what's the thing you most want from that person when you walk in? And it wasn't competence, it wasn't expertise, it wasn't skill. They wanted a smile. That's what put them at ease. That's what made them feel that they were in a place where they could exhale, right? And trust what was going to happen to them in that exchange. Right? Okay, so great. That's a small big. Well, what if you don't have a service business? What if you don't have a situation like that? What if you're online? How do you use this smile then? Right? Well, it turns out there's even a smaller small big for liking. I can tell you about. It's the shape of a smile. Upturn curve line puts people in a positive state of mind. Right? Let me give you the evidence. Here's the one thing, that Paul was telling you about. I don't draw any conclusions that I can't back up with solidly conducted, controlled research. So let me tell you about a study that was done on consumers who were asked to consider a new shampoo that was coming out on the market. And they had a short description of all of its benefits and merits and so on of this new shampoo. And they were shown one of 4 containers, bottles of this shampoo. Let me show you what they look like. Here they are. They're identical, right? Except for the line at the bottom. The one on the left has an upturned curve. The one on the next one is a straight line. The next one is no line. And the one on the right is a downturned line, like a frown instead of a smile. And then the researchers gave these individuals the opportunity to choose which of these bottles of shampoo they would buy in the store, right? And here's the result. If it had a smile at the bottom, they were significantly more likely to choose it to buy when they had a chance. And here's the best thing about it. They didn't even realize that it had anything to do with the smile. They were just fundamentally affected by a smile because everybody wants a smile. It welcomes them. Right? It produces a positive tone to the interaction that everybody feels comfortable with. Okay. Now, as I mentioned at the outset, we're launching this new business, the Cialdini Institute, with an online learning program, coaching, speaking components to it, and so on. And the features of this business, we have 3 pillars. The first is everything has to be scientifically grounded. Every conclusion that we provide to people has to be based in scientific research. Secondly, it has to be done ethically. People are going to be more effective for using these scientifically grounded tactics and practices of influence, but we only want them to do so in ways that are ethical, so they feel good about themselves afterward. When I talk to groups about the ethics of influence, I can't tell you how many times people come up to me afterwards and thank me for highlighting the ethics of the process. Right? I had a woman the other day who said, this is so important. I don't want to feel like a worm to get success, right? I don't want to feel like I have to cheat in order. I want to be able to do it on my own with my own knowledge of what works in a scientific way. So those are 2 of the principles. It has to be scientifically based. It has to be ethically centered. And finally, it has to be application focused. This isn't just about learning these principles and how they work. It's about employing them. It's about the implementation of this knowledge that gets you to the next purchase, the next the next level of ascent. So when we looked at this research on the smile, right, we did an immediate application to our own logo, right? Let me show you what it looks like. It's the Cialdini Institute. It gets you, where does it get you? Smile. It's a smile. We make a smile prominent because we know from the research that it works. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do, right? For your packaging, for your signage, for the names of any new products or models that you produce, for your business cards, have a smiley face at the bottom or adjacent in there. It's going to, that's the small big. That's the smallest big I know for how you unleash the power of liking to harness it in the on your behalf. And here's how it works, it seems to me, for us, right? Oh, by the way, you wouldn't be alone if you did that. Let me show you something. The logos of all of these famous, highly profitable companies, right? Who, and I'm going to tell you something I know about these companies. You know how they came to decide for the smile? They hired a big advertising agency who hired a designer who then went out and did focus group after focus group, and then they did surveys and they checked for different versions, and they all came down to the smile. After hundreds of thousands of dollars in researching that, you know how we got to the smile? I read a scientific article. It was costless. It doesn't cost us a cent to design that logo, right? Same for you. You're going to be able to do that. Now, if you're not convinced that this shape of a smile works, let me show you one more thing. Right? You might say, well, maybe it works for shampoo, but does it work really for a high ticket item? Let me show you a set of expensive wristwatches, right? And you can see there are a lot of differences between, some are gold, some are silver, some have black faces, some have white faces, some are men's, some are women's. Can you see the thing that's the same in all of them? Look at the configuration of the hands on the face. It's 10 and 2. It's a smile. Watch manufacturers have learned that they get better response from any ads that they put in magazines or online or newspapers if the face has has the hands in a smile position, right? It didn't used to be this way, but again, they did focus groups and surveys and tests and so on, and they found that this 10 and 2 configuration outdistances any other. All right, this works. Okay, now let's ask one more question about this, and I'm going to go back to my to our smile right here. Remember I said that the important thing is to show your customer that you like them? Well, anyone who comes to the Cialdini Institute because we advertise ourselves as focused on science, focused on ethics, and focused on application, we share a set of values, which we like those people. The key is we like those people who would want to come to us because they share our values. So the key is to show them that we like them. It's not simply that we like them. We have to show them that we like them. And once again, now we're together. They feel good, and we're going to give them scientific evidence in an ethical way, so they were right. They're not going to be steered wrong with us about the influence process. They're going to be able to use it in their own businesses, in their own personal lives. Okay, so let's talk about one last principle, the principle of unity, where we can talk about a small big here. The principle unity involves the sense of togetherness or partnership with someone else that creates a feeling of we-ness between people. If, as a communicator, you can arrange for others to see you as not just similar to them, but one of them, they will be vastly more likely to say yes to you. The research is clear, right, in this regard. Show them that you share fundamental values, goals, social categories. They will say yes to you to a greater extent. And you, because they are of you, will give them the best possible service, the best possible products, the best possible advice. Right? Win-win. Now, what's a small, or let's say this. What's the most effective marketing practice, in my estimation, of the last 2 decades? It's one that's based on unity, the unity principle. It is the process of co-creation. I don't know how many of you do this, but if you're not doing it, you should. And that is to ask your existing customer base or clients to co-create with you the next generation of products, services, features, new ideas that you're going to build into what you're doing, right? And get their input for this, because the research shows that if people are involved in that co-creation process, they have greater brand loyalty, and they are more favorable toward the brand in terms of what they purchase and who they advocate. They become your advocates after the process of co-creation, where they become together with you. There's a we-ness here. There's a partnership. All right. That's so, but what's the small big here for us that's going to allow us to do this in a way that doesn't require any additional effort or time or expense? When people perform or engage in this process of co-creation, they typically ask their customers or their prospects, right, to give them input on how they can enhance their product line or their new models and so on. And what they do is to say, can you give me your opinion on what we are proposing? Right? That's a mistake. Not to ask for the co-creation. That's brilliant. That's a brilliant implementation of the unity principle. It's a mistake to ask for their opinion, because when you ask for opinion, you get a critic. You get somebody who steps back from you psychologically, right? And goes inside themselves to evaluate your new product or idea or for your brand. If instead you change one word, and instead of asking for advice, ask for their opinion. Now, instead of getting a critic, you get a partner. You get someone who you're asking to collaborate with you, to cooperate with you in this next step that you want to take. And the research is very clear. When you ask for advice rather than opinion, you get more favorable responses to your new product or service. And you get better input from them, better recommendations and suggestions for how to improve it. Why? Because they're part of the process now. They want you to succeed. Right? One last addition, the newest research just came out recently that shows not only does asking for advice beat asking for an opinion from someone else, asking for advice beats asking for their feedback or asking for their expectation about your new product or service, which is what we almost always do. We ask for one of these three, your opinion, your feedback, or your expectation. Change that out with one word to advice, and you get a partner. You know, there's this saying that goes as follows: when you ask for advice, you're usually looking for an accomplice. Well, here's what the research shows, the behavioral science research shows. If you get that advice, you get that accomplice who wants you, who wants the two of you. It's a we situation now. They want you to succeed because you are of them. They are of you and your brand. Okay. Now, there are small bigs like this that are stocked into every one of those 7 principles. We don't have time to go through them all, but I thought that I wanted to share this with you today so that you'll be able to employ them as well. So let me thank you for your kind attention and turn things back over to Paul.
Wow. Well done. Big round of applause. How about it? Yeah. Woo. That was epic. So that's 29 minutes, guys. 29 minutes. How many of you, just by showing hands, how many of you would love to bring that talk into your clients? Right? I mean, how many of you could see how that could build your credibility, your authority? Look, our friend John Maxwell says, everything rises and falls on leadership. And then he defines leadership this way: leadership is influence. It's nothing more. It's nothing less. And if you can go into a company and show them some small bigs, how many of you know that if you shared this with your clients, they'd be changing their logo in the morning, or at least thinking about it, right? They won't let you go. They won't let you go. And so we have put together something for all of you. Because Dr. Cialdini is in a time in his life where he wants to impact the most amount of people that he can. And he wants to entrust people to carry his name and to carry his work and to carry his legacy. And it's critically important to him that the group that starts sets the standard. I mean, the first 100 people in this thing, the first 200 people in this thing will define the culture forever. It will define the culture forever. I have no doubt that there will be tens of thousands of people who will enroll to become a facilitator or a coach. I have no doubt of that. But we need an inner circle. We need an army to protect the integrity of what Dr. Cialdini's created, that is willing to stand and make sure that this work is brought about the way that he defined it, that it stays scientifically based, that it stays based in ethics, and that in everything we share, people are able to effectively apply it in their lives and in their business immediately. It's critically important to him. And I said to him, I said, Dr. Cialdini, as I was advising him and boss on the build of this, I said, I really think your first couple of 100 people matter. Yeah. And I don't think we can leave that to marketing and luck. I think I know the people. I think I know the people. And I think the community of empowered living is a community that you can entrust with your life's work, and that they're going to honor it, and that they're going to be people of integrity, and they're going to carry this. And so when I say to you that you were invited to this call, we did not invite everybody to this call. You can tell there's only a couple hundred people. If we invited my list to this call, there'd be a couple thousand people on the call. So let me share with you what we put together, because we wanted to put something special together for you, because we need your help as well. And so we've priced you helping us into this equation, okay? So just bear with me here, and I'll do this as quick as I possibly can. So this is the Cialdini Certified Professionals, Coaching, Facilitating, and Speaking. What's included is Dr. Cialdini's very passionate that you've got to be a product of this product. You cannot give that which you don't have. You can't with integrity take people where you haven't been. And so the first step is that every one of you will have access to the $1,000 online program. This is Dr. Cialdini, all new recording in a studio, direct to camera. You spend 30 minutes with Dr. Cialdini. This is upwards of 7 hours of Dr. Cialdini, direct to camera with B-roll, all the facts, all the charts, and every single thing in every case and every point is backed by research case studies, and you'll have access to the database of every single one of those things. So the first thing is you've got to be a learner. It also starts with a CAT assessment. So you'll take an assessment on your understanding of influence when you start, and you'll take an assessment of your understanding of influence when you're done, so that you'll know that you've grown. Next is you'll be able to speak about these principles and facilitate through lunch and learn. So there's 8 lunch and learns, 1 for each of the principles and 1 for the amplifiers of these principles. And then there's participant guides and facilitator guides and scripts taken directly from Dr. Cialdini's talks and from Boss, who is the president and CEO and the lead teacher for Dr. Cialdini, directly from them, their scripts. And then there's 4 additional bonuses that go with this in terms of lunch and learn scripts on activators and how to lead meetings and other things. There's a mastermind facilitator guide. So you are licensed to mastermind on these books, and you guys all know the model. You're able to charge your clients. You guys are professionals. You guys are masters at building mastermind groups. We've already created the facilitator and participant guides for these resources. There's a faculty program. So Andy Hall is our lead faculty member for coaching. Congratulations to Andy. Holly and I will be leading the team on sales. Boss is leading online marketing. So you will have a speakers lane, an influence lane, and online marketing. You guys have all been part of the model before, where you'll have areas that you can go in of expertise on video. It's self-directed and self-paced. Also, Boss and his team have taken all that they know from taking the principles of persuasion and influence into the marketing world, and they have pre-written email marketing campaigns, all the high quality images of Dr. Cialdini that you would want to blend so that you're associated with the brand, and ready-made social media content and ads for you to promote yourself as a certified licensed Cialdini member. And again, in other programs, you have to pay for a marketing kit. This is all included. There's also pitch decks with the sales scripts already written, how to price your service templates, contract templates, and pre-written sales emails for the program. There's a 90-day onboarding program, so to guide people through the principles. As a matter of fact, we're going to ask those of you who enroll with us, we're going to need a team to lead the next 10,000 people through. So we're looking for those of you who are willing to invest the time and the money into this program to be part of our team. And we're building a team of team ambassadors to serve for this program. There will be live weekly training calls with the faculty twice a week. Dr. Cialdini is doing 6 live interactive group calls every single year. He's inviting 3 of his top value connections to also lead calls during the year. So that's 9 monthly calls. Then get this, every quarter, Dr. Cialdini will do an invitation call. This is where you will be able to invite your clients onto the call. We won't know who they are. You'll be able to invite your clients onto the call. And Dr. Cialdini will do a teaching like he did tonight. And then he'll say to your clients, if you'd like to learn more about these programs and how you apply them, get back to the person who brought you to this call. So this is Dr. Cialdini teeing the ball up for you, passing one of the most powerful principles of influence there is, authority, to you, showing your association with him. There's live weekly interactive calls with the faculty, as I mentioned, and there's a private Cialdini Facebook group. You have the license to sell, coach, facilitate Dr. Cialdini's signature courses and assessments. You keep 100% of what you earn. You do not have to pay a fee to get licensed to use the assessments. It's all included. You'll have 2 free tickets to an annual live meet and greet event with Dr. Cialdini and the members of the Cialdini Institute faculty. Exclusive tips and content on persuasion that you'll be able to share immediately on social media. So when you want to promote yourself and share a tip on activators of these 7 principles, we'll already have those camera ready for all social media platforms. Plus, as a member of the Empowered Living community and being part of this inner circle, we're going to give you the behind the scenes access to this, what is, I believe, going to be a multi-million-dollar launch. Some of you have never been part of a behind the scenes. So we're looking at launching this program sometime in late May. So we've been building this now for the last 6 months. We just ran our second ad on LinkedIn. So this is still in what we would call a whisper campaign. This is not brought out to the world. And we're activating Dr. Cialdini's email list. We're activating his social media. We're bringing all those things back to life. We're driving engagement. And if you'd like, we will invite you to meetings that we'll do every 2 or 3 weeks where we'll be showing you, like, for instance, we ran one ad that did on LinkedIn, that our first ad, it crushed. We ran a second ad completely different from that one, and it tanked. We ran the second one like the first one, but different, but the same kind of framework, and it crushed. We're going to show you what's working, what's not working. If you've ever wanted to see a behind the scenes of how the build out of our pro forma, how we're building this, how the sausage is made, how the business, if you want to see how we're negotiating the contracts with all the lawyers, we're going to be this is a front row seat. How we're building out the portal, how we're right now training the sales team. We're going to show you everything that we're doing. Okay. Now, as part of the Empowered Living community, we're offering this certification and the opportunity to be part of the Founder Circle at a reduced cost in exchange for something. Okay. First is we're going to ask that you invest 20 hours of your time. We want you to go through. We want you to go through the website. We want you to watch the training from Dr. Cialdini. We want you to watch a couple of, Andy's videos and a couple of my videos and a couple of Boss's videos. We want you to go through our FAQ. We want you to kick the tires as we're building the program. We want you to advise us on what needs to be fixed or improved on the online portal as it's being completed. We want assistance in commenting, liking, sharing some of the pre-launch social media posts. So we're not asking you to necessarily put this on, we're not asking you to sell for us, but we're gonna give you a schedule of times of when we're posting on Dr. Cialdini's LinkedIn page or on Dr. Cialdini's Twitter or on Dr. Cialdini's Facebook or Instagram account. And we're gonna ask that you go in and like and make a comment so that you can help us boost these ads. In exchange for your help, you're going to receive complete lifetime access with no renewal fees for $1,500. For those of you that like a payment plan, there's 4 monthly payments of $400. And for those of you that would like to pay in full, Boss will join and host a 2-hour live group call for those who pay in full. And he's going to be reviewing the research studies and take you through the research studies from some of the most famous companies that all of these companies, and you'll be able to see why, as an example, why the Obama campaign hired Dr. Cialdini when he first ran the first time for president, and what advice, what 3 words he gave the Obama team to think about in all their marketing. He's going to show you a fascinating study on the law of reciprocity used by McDonald's to increase their sales. He's going to share with you how the government of England calls it the Cialdini billion-dollar sentence, one sentence. So Boss is going to lead you through all these research studies in 2 hours. It's fast-paced, it's fun, and if you like the research, if you like to know, here's what I can tell you. I've built certification programs for Bob Proctor, Bob Berg, Mary Morrissey, John Maxwell, Daniel Amen, and Joseph McClendon. If there was one thing that was missing in all of them, it was this. Members would come back to me and say, my client's asking, how can I say that these laws of leadership work? Is there a study? Is there a case? Every single thing that you present, you're going to have a research-backed science-based research study to back everything you say. I want to thank all of you for your time, for your friendship, for your trust in being here tonight. Whether you enroll or you don't enroll, this is my gift to you to bring you Dr. Cialdini. I've always been transparent with you. What I'm working on, I'm sharing. When things are going good, I'm telling you things are going good. And when things aren't going good, I'm telling you that things aren't going good. I've never been more excited about a project than I am about this one. This is right up my alley. If you want to help people, no matter where they are in their journey in life, their ability to influence and drive their agenda and persuade people to their way of thinking is critically important, and you will have the key in your hand. All the links to enroll are right now inside the comment box. We'll be sending out an email for you. And again, for all of you who enrolled tonight, this talk that Dr. Cialdini gave, you will be licensed to share and teach to your clients as well. Just imagine the power of you and the authority you'll have when you share something this powerful with your client, how it will open up doors for every single thing else you do. Boss, I want to just thank you for our friendship and our partnership. Dr. Cialdini, thank you for saying yes and giving me this opportunity of a lifetime to be working with you. I'm so excited and so honored to be part of your team. Charlie, Megan, Ollie, the rest of you, you know who you are, the team. God bless you guys. We can't do this without you. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Cialdini. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Be well.